Beware, 10 evident signs that there is an evil person next to you. Stoic philosophy, Stoicism. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever felt your energy being drained, your emotions manipulated, or your peace disrupted by someone's mere presence? The unsettling truth is that evil doesn't just reside in legends or stories. It exists in our daily lives. Even more unnerving? It often hides in plain sight, operating in subtle, insidious ways. But don't let that alarm you. With a little awareness, you can spot the red flags and protect yourself. Evil people may not wear horns or carry pitchforks, but their behavior speaks volumes. They deceive, manipulate, and exploit kindness for their own gain. The good news? Recognizing them doesn't require a detective's skill, just a sharp mind and a little guidance. Ancient Stoic wisdom, passed down by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, holds the key to identifying these toxic influences and safeguarding your peace of mind. In this video, we'll explore 10 undeniable signs that you're dealing with an evil person. Warning signs you simply cannot ignore. These insights will empower you to maintain clarity, protect your energy, and stay firmly rooted in your values. This is Stoic in Your Life, and we're about to dive deep into timeless lessons for navigating today's challenges. Ready to shield yourself from the chaos and reclaim your inner peace? Let's get started. Number 1. Constant manipulation. He who has many fears also has many things to manipulate. Seneca. One of the clearest indicators that you may be dealing with an evil person is their constant manipulation. These individuals thrive, not on truth or integrity, but on their ability to distort reality to serve their purposes. Manipulation is their weapon of choice, and it's wielded in ways that can subtly dismantle your confidence and make you question your perception of reality. At first, their intentions may seem harmless, even kind. They might flatter you, offer unsolicited advice, or position themselves as someone indispensable in your life. However, this facade hides a calculated effort to gain control over your decisions, emotions, and even your sense of self. Manipulators often start small, perhaps with a suggestion that seems helpful or a critique disguised as constructive feedback. Over time, their methods escalate, eroding your autonomy and making you feel dependent on their guidance. They create an illusion that they are the only ones who understand you, planting seeds of doubt about your abilities and subtly undermining your relationships with others. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This wisdom reminds us to focus on clarity and integrity, traits absent in the manipulative schemes of toxic individuals. In modern life, manipulation often manifests in professional environments, personal relationships, or even casual friendships. A colleague might strategically point out your mistakes in front of others while claiming to help you improve. Or a partner might twist your words in arguments to make you feel at fault, even when you're not. The aim is always the same: to make you feel insecure, dependent, and ultimately, controllable. Recognizing this behavior is the first step to breaking free from their influence. The antidote lies in developing clarity and self-control, principles deeply rooted in Stoicism. Epictetus wisely advised, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This means that reclaiming your autonomy starts with mastering your emotions and responses. Instead of reacting impulsively to their manipulations, take a step back and evaluate their actions objectively. Ask yourself whether their guidance truly aligns with your values or serves their hidden agenda. When you identify manipulation, set firm boundaries and resist engaging in their games. True freedom, as Stoic philosophy teaches, comes from refusing to let external forces dictate your thoughts and decisions. In your personal journey, you will undoubtedly encounter people who seek to manipulate for their gain. The key to navigating these situations lies in self-awareness and vigilance. Remember, a genuine and virtuous person will encourage your growth, independence, and confidence. They will not attempt to ensnare you in a web of dependence. If you sense that someone's words or actions are causing you to doubt yourself unnecessarily, it's time to reassess their role in your life. Trust yourself, as Marcus Aurelius reminds us. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. By identifying the warning signs and standing firm in your truth, you can protect your peace, maintain your dignity, and live a life aligned with your values. The strength to resist manipulation is already within you. It's just a matter of realizing it and letting it guide your actions. Stay grounded, stay aware, and never allow someone's deceitful tactics to rob you of your inner freedom. Number 2. A mask of charm. Appearances often deceive, but actions reveal the truth. This insight from Stoic philosophy is crucial when addressing one of the most insidious traits of an evil person, the mask of charm. Charm can be a beautiful thing when it is genuine, a way to connect with others and build trust. However, when charm is used as a weapon, it becomes one of the most dangerous tools in a manipulator's arsenal. Have you ever met someone who seemed too good to be true? Their words were soothing, their demeanor magnetic, and their smile radiated warmth. At first glance, they seemed like everything you wanted in a friend, partner, or mentor. But beneath the surface, their charm concealed darker motives, selfishness, deceit, and manipulation. Why does this happen? What makes charm such a powerful and deceptive tool in the hands of someone with malicious intentions? People with a mask of charm know how to read others. They know what to say and how to act to disarm you completely. They tell you exactly what you want to hear, making you feel special, understood, and valued. Yet their words are calculated, carefully designed to gain your trust and lower your defenses. Think of the classic example of a coworker who showers you with compliments in meetings, always highlighting your talents in front of others. At first you feel appreciated, even admired. But over time you notice subtle shifts. Behind closed doors, this same person begins planting doubts about your abilities, framing their criticisms as helpful advice. They may even take credit for your successes or slowly create a narrative that diminishes your worth. This kind of charm is not about building connections. It's about controlling perceptions and ultimately controlling you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that over time, the true nature of a person cannot be hidden forever. No matter how well someone masks their intentions, their actions will eventually betray them. A charming manipulator will treat people differently depending on the situation. They may appear kind and generous to those who benefit them, but show indifference or cruelty to those who offer no advantage. Pay attention to how they act when no one is watching, or how they treat those they cannot use. These glimpses into their true character are invaluable. Modern life is filled with examples of charm used as manipulation. Consider social media influencers or public figures who project an image of perfection. They seem flawless, relatable, and genuine on the surface, but behind the scenes, some use their influence to deceive, manipulate, or exploit their audience for personal gain. This same behavior can appear in everyday relationships, where someone's charm is a facade hiding selfish intentions. Recognizing this isn't always easy. After all, charm works because it feels good to be on the receiving end of it. But how do you protect yourself from falling into their trap? Start by trusting your instincts. If someone's charm feels excessive, or their words seem rehearsed, take a step back and observe their behavior over time. Are their actions consistent with their words? Do they treat others with the same kindness they show you? Ask yourself, is this person genuinely invested in my growth and well-being, or are they using me to serve their own agenda? Epictetus wisely noted, appearances are of little consequence, actions are everything. This means that, while someone's charm may be dazzling at first, their actions will ultimately reveal their true nature. Keep an eye out for inconsistencies, how they speak to you when others are present versus when you're alone, or how they respond when you set boundaries or challenge their opinions. A personal story comes to mind here. I once knew someone who seemed like the perfect friend. They were supportive, always ready to offer advice, and had a way of making me feel like the most important person in the room. I trusted them completely until one day I overheard them mocking me to others. It was a stark reminder that charm, when used insincerely, is nothing more than a mask-hiding manipulation. This experience taught me the importance of staying grounded and not letting someone's words overshadow their actions. So, how can you apply this lesson to your life? First, slow down. Don't let yourself get swept up in someone's charisma without taking the time to evaluate their intentions. Second, rely on the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Observe their actions, not just their words. As Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. This means focusing on cultivating genuine relationships based on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Finally, learn to set boundaries. A truly good person will respect your autonomy and encourage your growth, not seek to manipulate or control you. In conclusion, the mask of charm is one of the most deceptive tools an evil person can use. But by staying vigilant and trusting your instincts, you can protect yourself from their influence. Look beyond appearances, observe their actions, and stay true to your values. Remember, authentic kindness and genuine connection shine without pretense. Don't let someone's charm blind you to the truth. Stand firm in your integrity, and surround yourself with those who lift you up rather than tear you down. In doing so, you'll not only safeguard your peace, but also ensure that the relationships in your life are built on solid and trustworthy foundations. Number 3. Lies without conscience. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This timeless wisdom from Marcus Aurelius serves as a guiding principle for identifying one of the clearest signs of an evil person: their comfort with lying. For malicious individuals, lies are not occasional lapses or desperate measures. Deceit becomes second nature. They lie with ease and precision, not out of carelessness, but with a purpose: to manipulate, gain power, evade responsibility, or distort your perception of reality. Have you ever encountered someone whose stories seemed too elaborate, too inconsistent, or too perfectly crafted to align with their intentions? These individuals don't stumble into dishonesty. They build their lives around it, weaving intricate webs of deceit to serve their goals while keeping you ensnared in confusion. When someone lies without conscience, their deception is not random. It's calculated. They know exactly what they're doing and why. For instance, they might embellish their achievements to appear more credible, fabricate stories to gain sympathy, or shift blame onto others to escape accountability. They may even go as far as to rewrite history, making you doubt your own memories and instincts. This behavior isn't just unethical, it's toxic. It creates an environment where trust erodes, leaving you constantly questioning what's real and what's not. You might think, how could anyone maintain such elaborate lies without cracking under pressure? But for these individuals, lying is a skill honed over time, a tool of survival and control. Their confidence in their fabrications can make even the most skeptical among us hesitate. Consider a modern example. Someone in a workplace who repeatedly takes credit for others' successes while cleverly shifting blame for failures. Their charisma and ability to deflect scrutiny make them appear trustworthy on the surface. However, if you dig deeper, you'll find inconsistencies in their stories or actions that don't align with their words. These manipulative tactics are designed to keep you questioning yourself, not them. As Epictetus advised, appearances are of little consequence, actions are everything. Observing how their behavior contradicts their claims is often the first clue that you're dealing with someone who lies without remorse. Lies without conscience are especially dangerous because they're hard to detect at first. These individuals may appear confident, even sincere, as they weave their deceptions. But over time, cracks begin to show. Their lies require constant maintenance, leading to inconsistencies and new fabrications to cover old ones. Think about it. How often have you seen someone's actions betray their words? How many times have you felt a nagging doubt that something doesn't add up? That inner warning, that gut feeling, is often the first sign that you're dealing with someone who doesn't value the truth. Ask yourself, do their words match their actions? Do their stories change depending on the audience or the situation? The Stoics believed that truth is resilient and self-sustaining, while lies are fragile and prone to collapse under scrutiny. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to focus on what is within our control, and one thing we can always control is our commitment to truth. When you encounter someone who consistently lies, it's important to step back and observe their behavior objectively. Instead of reacting emotionally or trying to call them out immediately, gather evidence. Pay attention to patterns in their behavior. Do they exaggerate their successes while downplaying their failures? Do they deflect when confronted with inconsistencies? These behaviors reveal their true nature. To navigate relationships with such individuals, Stoic philosophy offers invaluable guidance. First, prioritize clarity and integrity in your own actions. By holding yourself to a high standard of honesty, you create a foundation of trust that cannot be easily shaken by the lies of others. Second, set firm boundaries. When someone's deceit begins to undermine your peace of mind or self-worth, it's essential to protect yourself by limiting their influence over your life. Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This means reclaiming control over your emotions and decisions, refusing to be manipulated by their lies. A personal story illustrates this well. I once worked closely with someone who seemed supportive and collaborative, but as time passed, I noticed small discrepancies in their accounts of shared projects. They would inflate their contributions while minimizing mine, always presenting themselves as the hero. At first, I doubted myself, wondering if I had misunderstood the situation, but as I observed more closely, it became clear that their narrative was deliberately crafted to shift credit in their favor. This realization was liberating. It allowed me to distance myself from their influence and focus on my own values and goals. In the face of such deception, remember the Stoic principle: the obstacle is the way. These challenges, while frustrating, can strengthen your ability to discern truth from falsehood and to remain steadfast in your principles. Truth, like a flame, requires no embellishment. It shines brightly on its own. Lies, on the other hand, are like smoke, thick and blinding at first, but ultimately fleeting and unsustainable. So what lessons can we draw from this? First, always trust your instincts when something feels off. Your intuition is a powerful tool for recognizing dishonesty. Second, focus on actions rather than words. While someone may say all the right things, their behavior will ultimately reveal their true intentions. Finally, protect your peace by setting boundaries and surrounding yourself with people who value truth and integrity. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life." By choosing to prioritize truth in your relationships and actions, you ensure that your life is built on a foundation of trust, clarity, and resilience. In the end, truth will always prevail, and by aligning yourself with it, you safeguard not only your peace but your personal strength as well. Number 4. Lack of empathy. Humans are social creatures not meant to live solely for themselves. This timeless observation from Seneca highlights the importance of empathy, the bridge that connects us, allowing us to share in each other's joys and burdens. But what happens when someone lacks this essential quality? A person without empathy is not just emotionally distant, they're often self-serving, manipulative, and indifferent to the well-being of others. This lack of empathy is not a mere personality quirk. It's a glaring red flag, a sign of deeper toxicity that can erode the foundation of any relationship. How do you recognize such individuals? What should you do when you find yourself entangled with someone who seems unable or unwilling to understand your emotions? A lack of empathy often manifests subtly at first, in ways that are easy to dismiss. Perhaps you've confided in someone about a difficult experience, hoping for understanding or support, only to be met with indifference, a dismissive comment, or even a shift in the conversation to focus on their own problems. This isn't a one-off occurrence. It's a consistent pattern. Over time, their inability to connect with your emotions becomes more pronounced, leaving you feeling unheard and undervalued. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This advice urges us to focus on cultivating empathy within ourselves, even as we navigate relationships with those who lack it. In today's fast-paced world, this lack of empathy can be particularly damaging. Consider someone in a leadership role who prioritizes profits over people, making decisions that disregard the needs and well-being of their team. Or think of a friend who constantly downplays your struggles, making you feel like your problems are insignificant. Such behavior not only damages trust but also creates an emotional void, making it impossible to build meaningful connections. In personal relationships, a lack of empathy can be even more harmful, as it leads to emotional one-sidedness where one person constantly gives while the other only takes. What drives this lack of empathy? For some, it's rooted in narcissism, a belief that their needs and desires are more important than anyone else's. For others, it might stem from insecurity or a fear of vulnerability. Whatever the cause, the result is the same: an inability to see the world through someone else's eyes. This emotional disconnect often leads to a chilling indifference or, in more extreme cases, a silent delight in others' struggles. Epictetus wisely said, "First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." This reminder to think and feel before acting underscores the stark contrast between empathy and its absence. Those who lack empathy often speak and act without regard for the impact on others, leaving a trail of emotional harm in their wake. One of the most telling signs of an empathetic void is the inability to celebrate others' successes or support them during difficult times. A person lacking empathy may pretend to care when it benefits them, but their true nature becomes evident when they no longer have anything to gain. For example, a colleague might appear supportive when your success aligns with their goals, but quickly disappear or worse, undermine you when they feel threatened by your accomplishments. Similarly, a so-called friend may enjoy your company during good times but fail to offer comfort when you're struggling. These patterns reveal a deep emotional hollowness that makes genuine relationships impossible. Recognizing a lack of empathy is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in deciding how to respond. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control: our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. When faced with someone who lacks empathy, it's important to set clear boundaries and protect your emotional well-being. Don't waste energy trying to force them to care or change. Instead, focus on surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This simple, yet profound, advice serves as a reminder to prioritize relationships that nurture your growth, rather than drain your spirit. If you find yourself in a relationship or situation where a lack of empathy is causing harm, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, am I giving more than I'm receiving? Is this relationship aligned with my values and emotional needs? These questions can provide clarity and help you make decisions that preserve your peace of mind. Remember, empathy is the cornerstone of healthy relationships. Without it, interactions become transactional, leaving you feeling unfulfilled and disconnected. Let's bring this into the context of modern life. In an age dominated by technology and social media, empathy is often in short supply. We're bombarded with curated images and highlight reels that encourage comparison rather than connection. It's easy to become desensitized to the struggles of others when we're constantly scrolling through superficial glimpses of their lives. But this environment makes empathy more important than ever. By choosing to engage with others on a deeper level, listening without judgment and offering support without expecting anything in return, you can cultivate the kind of meaningful relationships that bring true fulfillment. Ultimately, the lesson here is twofold. First, learn to recognize and protect yourself from individuals who lack empathy. These people, whether intentionally or not, can drain your energy and disrupt your peace. Second, strive to embody empathy in your own life. By doing so, you not only enrich your relationships, but also contribute to a more compassionate world. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "What we do now echoes in eternity." Let your actions reflect the values you wish to see in others. Be the person who listens, who cares, and who seeks to understand. In doing so, you become a beacon of light in a world that often feels darkened by indifference. Thank you for being part of today's video. Your presence in this community means so much to us, and we truly appreciate having you here. Feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. If you're new, simply type, "I am a newbie," to let us welcome you. If you've been with us for a while, let us know by commenting, "I am a Stoic." Your engagement inspires us to keep creating meaningful content for you. Now, let's move forward together on this journey of growth and wisdom, shall we? Number 5. The hunger for control. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This profound insight from Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the essence of personal freedom. Yet, for someone consumed by the hunger for control, this wisdom is ignored, and their desire for dominance becomes their defining trait. An evil person with this insatiable appetite for control doesn't merely seek to influence your actions. They aim to dominate your thoughts, emotions, and decisions. Their need for power goes beyond normal boundaries. They want to control every aspect of your life, leaving you feeling small, dependent, and powerless. Have you ever felt like someone in your life is always pulling the strings, dictating what you should think, say, or do while cleverly masking it as help or guidance? Control-driven individuals often start subtly, presenting their interference as concern or support. Perhaps they give advice that seems well-meaning or insist on helping you with decisions, creating the illusion that they're looking out for your best interests. But over time, their behavior becomes more oppressive. They might criticize your choices, undermine your confidence, or manipulate situations to make you feel incapable of making decisions without their input. In relationships, they might micromanage your time, control who you associate with, or guilt you into compliance. At work, they may hoard information or create a dependency where your progress feels tethered to their approval. This isn't collaboration, it's a calculated attempt to keep you under their thumb. As Epictetus wisely said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things beyond our control." Yet for these individuals, freedom for others is threatening because it undermines their hold over you. Consider a common scenario: a manager who initially seems supportive, offering mentorship and guidance. Over time, you realize their help comes with strings attached. They subtly take credit for your successes, insist on approving even minor decisions, and criticize your independent initiatives. They position themselves as indispensable, making you doubt your abilities and feel like you can't succeed without them. This behavior creates a toxic dynamic where you're trapped, unable to grow or move forward. It's a form of control designed not to empower but to stifle and dominate. Why do they do this? Often it stems from their insecurity or fear of losing relevance. so they seek to control others as a way of maintaining their own sense of power. The Stoics teach us that our minds are our sanctuary, and control over ourselves is the ultimate form of freedom. When you find yourself dealing with someone consumed by a hunger for control, the first step is to recognize their behavior for what it is. Ask yourself, are their actions empowering me, or are they trying to diminish my independence? Genuine support fosters growth and autonomy, while toxic control creates dependency and fear. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the quality of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If someone is constantly feeding your mind with doubt and negativity, it's a clear sign that their influence is not in your best interest. In today's world, this type of control can be particularly insidious. With the rise of technology and social media, controlling individuals have new tools at their disposal. They might monitor your online activity, dictate how you present yourself, or use digital platforms to spread misinformation or manipulate your perspective. In personal relationships, they might use subtle tactics like guilt-tripping or playing the victim to maintain power over you. For example, a partner might say things like, "If you really cared, you'd do it my way." Or a friend might claim, "You owe me for all I've done for you." These statements are designed to manipulate your emotions and make you feel obligated to comply. But true relationships are built on mutual respect, not control. Ask yourself, am I free to make my own choices, or do I feel pressured to please them at the expense of my happiness? Breaking free from such control requires clarity, boundaries, and courage. First, recognize that their need for control is not a reflection of your worth but of their insecurity. They seek power because they fear losing relevance, but their control over you only exists as long as you allow it. Second, set firm boundaries. Politely but firmly assert your independence by saying things like, "I appreciate your input, but I'd like to handle this on my own." Remember, boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your mental and emotional space. Third, build your confidence by focusing on your strengths and achievements. Epictetus reminds us, "No man is free who is not a master of himself." By reclaiming control over your own thoughts and decisions, you take the first step toward true freedom. Let's reflect on a modern example. Think of a coworker or relative who constantly tries to micromanage your decisions, making you feel inadequate. Perhaps they discourage your ideas or subtly criticize your choices, planting seeds of doubt in your mind. They might say things like, "Are you sure you can handle this?" Or, "I just want to help you avoid making a mistake." While these comments may sound supportive, their true intent is to undermine your confidence and keep you dependent. Recognizing these tactics is crucial, as it empowers you to step back and evaluate their role in your life. The lesson here is simple yet powerful. Your mind is your fortress, and no one has the right to control it but you. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in mastering your thoughts and emotions, and this wisdom is more relevant than ever in a world where control often masquerades as care. If you find yourself entangled with someone who hungers for control, remember that their behavior reflects their insecurities, not your capabilities. As Marcus Aurelius advises, look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. By trusting yourself, setting boundaries, and surrounding yourself with people who uplift rather than dominate, you reclaim your power and ensure that your life is guided by your values, not someone else's agenda. The hunger for control is a clear sign of an unhealthy dynamic, but you have the tools to protect yourself. Recognize the behavior, assert your independence, and remember that true strength comes from within. A virtuous person will never seek to dominate you. They will inspire you to be your best self. Trust in your ability to navigate these challenges, and you'll find that the freedom to think and act independently is the greatest strength you possess. The path to peace begins with reclaiming your mind. Don't let anyone take that from you. Number 6. Blame games and deflection. The truth stands firm without justification, while lies require elaborate stories to sustain them. This wisdom from Seneca reminds us of the power of honesty and the fragility of deceit, especially when dealing with individuals who thrive on blame games and deflection. These people refuse to take accountability for their actions, choosing instead to craft narratives that shift responsibility to others. Have you ever been in a situation where someone constantly blamed others for their failures or mistakes? It could be a coworker who avoids admitting their oversights, a friend who twists every scenario to make themselves look like the victim, or even a family member who makes you feel responsible for their unhappiness. These patterns are not random. They are deliberate attempts to evade responsibility and protect their fragile sense of self. But what motivates such behavior, and how can you recognize it before it disrupts your peace of mind? Blame games and deflection often stem from an inability to face one's flaws or weaknesses. People who engage in this behavior find it easier to point fingers than to look in the mirror. Instead of admitting they've made a mistake, they create excuses or elaborate stories to shift the focus elsewhere. For example, imagine a colleague who misses an important deadline. Rather than owning up to their oversight, they might claim that the instructions were unclear, the resources insufficient, or even suggest that you failed to remind them in time. Over time, this behavior becomes a pattern, leaving you questioning your own role in their mistakes. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." This advice is particularly relevant when dealing with someone who thrives on deflection. Understanding that their actions reflect their insecurities, not your failures, can help you maintain your composure. In modern life, blame games often appear in personal relationships, workplaces, and even online interactions. You might encounter a partner who refuses to acknowledge their hurtful behavior, instead accusing you of being too sensitive or misunderstanding them, or a manager who blames their team for a project's failure, ignoring their own poor leadership. These individuals are skilled at twisting reality, using deflection as a shield to protect their ego. They may play the victim, exaggerate minor mistakes, or manipulate others into taking responsibility for their errors. Over time, their tactics can erode your confidence, leaving you doubting yourself and constantly trying to prove your worth. Have you ever wondered why some people seem incapable of saying, "I was wrong," or "I'm sorry"? This inability to accept fault is a sign of emotional immaturity and a refusal to grow. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and reactions. When faced with someone who constantly shifts blame, the key is to remain grounded and avoid being drawn into their games. Ask yourself, am I truly responsible for this situation, or am I being manipulated into taking the blame? Epictetus advised, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that while you can't control someone else's deflection tactics, you can choose how you respond. Instead of engaging in arguments or trying to defend yourself, calmly state the facts and stand by the truth. For instance, if a colleague accuses you of dropping the ball on a project, you might respond with something like, "I believe we agreed that you would handle that task. Let's review our notes to clarify." This approach shifts the focus back to accountability without escalating the conflict. To protect yourself from the harm caused by blame games, it's essential to establish clear boundaries. People who deflect often rely on your willingness to absorb their criticism and carry their burdens. By refusing to take responsibility for their mistakes, you disrupt their cycle and force them to confront their actions. At the same time, surround yourself with individuals who value honesty and accountability. Seneca advised, "Associate with those who make you better." This means prioritizing relationships where mutual respect and integrity are the foundation, rather than constantly feeling like you're walking on eggshells around someone who refuses to own their faults. A real-life example of this comes from a friend of mine who worked on a team project with someone notorious for deflecting blame. Whenever things didn't go as planned, this person would find ways to pin the failure on someone else, often with subtle remarks like, "I think the communication could have been clearer," or, "Maybe next time you could handle this differently." Over time, my friend began doubting their abilities, feeling like they were always at fault. It wasn't until they stepped back and examined the situation objectively that they realized the problem wasn't their performance, but the other person's refusal to take responsibility. Armed with this clarity, they started documenting tasks and decisions to hold the deflector accountable, ultimately regaining their confidence and ensuring their hard work was recognized. The lesson here is simple. Accountability is the cornerstone of integrity, while deflection is a tool of manipulation. If you encounter someone who consistently blames others and refuses to own their mistakes, remember that their actions are not about you. They are a reflection of their own insecurity and lack of maturity. By maintaining your composure, setting boundaries, and aligning yourself with truth, you can protect your peace and avoid being drawn into their toxic cycle. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Instead of mirroring their behavior, focus on being the person who takes responsibility for your actions, learns from your mistakes, and grows stronger with each challenge. Blame games and deflection are clear signs of an unhealthy dynamic, but by recognizing these tactics and standing firm in your truth, you can safeguard your mental and emotional well-being. Remember, you have the power to control your reactions, prioritize relationships that build you up, and walk away from situations that undermine your peace. Life is too short to waste on people who refuse to grow. Choose instead to surround yourself with those who inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Number 7. The pleasure of pain. Associate with those who make you better. These wise words from Epictetus remind us of the power of surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and support us. But what happens when someone in your life seems to find joy in your struggles? One of the most chilling traits of an evil person is their capacity to derive pleasure from the pain of others. This behavior isn't always overt. It can be subtle, disguised as sarcasm, passive-aggressive remarks, or even silent amusement at your difficulties. Have you ever encountered someone who seemed to smirk when you stumbled, who delighted in pointing out your mistakes or misfortunes? This isn't mere indifference, it's a toxic pleasure that reveals a darker side of their character and a complete lack of empathy. What drives this need to revel in others' suffering, and how can you protect yourself from its damaging effects? The pleasure of pain often stems from deep-seated insecurity or a desperate need for power. For these individuals, seeing others struggle or fail is a way to elevate themselves. They lack the ability or the desire to achieve genuine success or happiness through their own efforts, so they seek validation by tearing others down. It might start with small, seemingly harmless actions, like a sarcastic comment about your mistakes or an exaggerated reaction to your setbacks. Over time, these behaviors escalate, creating an environment where you feel judged, humiliated, and drained. Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." In the same way, you should not fear failure, but beware of those who use your missteps as opportunities to degrade you. In today's world, this behavior can often be seen in competitive workplaces or toxic social circles. Think about the coworker who secretly celebrates when a project you're leading hits a snag, or a friend who subtly gloats when you share a personal challenge. They may feign concern, offering backhanded compliments like, "It's a shame. That didn't work out for you, but at least you tried," or even laugh off your struggles as just a part of life. Over time, their actions reveal a pattern. Instead of building you up, they thrive on seeing you brought low. What makes this even more insidious is how easily it can erode your self-esteem and emotional resilience. When surrounded by people who take pleasure in your difficulties, you might start questioning your worth and losing confidence in your abilities. The Stoics teach us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control how we respond to them. Epictetus reminds us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When faced with someone who finds joy in your pain, it's essential to recognize their behavior for what it is, a reflection of their own insecurities and failures, not a measure of your value. Instead of internalizing their negativity, focus on strengthening your own mindset and surrounding yourself with people who genuinely care about your growth and well-being. This means paying close attention to how others respond to both your successes and challenges. Are they truly supportive, or do their words and actions reveal jealousy or indifference? A personal story comes to mind that perfectly illustrates this toxic dynamic. I once had a colleague who was outwardly charming and supportive, but secretly delighted in the setbacks of others. Whenever someone faced a challenge, he would disguise his glee as humor, saying things like, "Better luck next time," in a tone that carried no real encouragement. When I experienced a particularly tough week at work, he offered fake sympathy, only to later make a joke about my struggles in front of others. It was subtle, but it stung, and it became clear over time that his behavior wasn't accidental. It was his way of feeling superior by ensuring that others felt small. Recognizing this was the first step in reclaiming my peace. By distancing myself from his influence and focusing on my own goals, I was able to protect my confidence and thrive despite his attempts to undermine me. If you're dealing with someone like this in your own life, remember that their joy in your pain says more about them than it does about you. Marcus Aurelius advises, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that those who dwell in negativity and cruelty ultimately reflect those qualities in their character. Their delight in your struggles is not a sign of your weakness but a testament to their own. To counter this toxicity, focus on fostering relationships that inspire and uplift you. Seek out people who celebrate your successes, support you during challenges, and motivate you to grow into the best version of yourself. Breaking free from the influence of someone who finds pleasure in your pain requires courage and clarity. Start by setting boundaries. When they make snide remarks or highlight your struggles, respond calmly but firmly, making it clear that you will not tolerate their behavior. For instance, you might say, "I'd appreciate it if you offered support instead of criticism," or simply walk away from the conversation. At the same time, build your resilience by focusing on your strengths and achievements. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from within, and no external negativity can diminish your worth unless you allow it to. In modern life, this principle is more relevant than ever. Social media, for example, has amplified the pleasure some people take in others' pain. Negative comments, online trolling, and public shaming have become common ways for insecure individuals to project their unhappiness onto others. But just as in personal relationships, you have the power to rise above this behavior. By choosing not to engage with negativity and instead focusing on your own growth, you take control of your narrative and protect your peace. The ultimate lesson here is to value yourself enough to walk away from those who don't. As Seneca wisely observed, no man can have a peaceful life who thinks too much about lengthening it. Instead of wasting your time and energy on people who find joy in your struggles, invest in relationships that bring you happiness, encouragement, and growth. Surround yourself with those who truly care, and you'll find that your resilience and confidence flourish. Life is too short to be weighed down by those who thrive on negativity. Choose positivity, set firm boundaries, and never let someone's delight in your pain dim your light. If you've made it this far, you're a true seeker of wisdom and clarity. Drop a comment saying, "I see the signs," to show your commitment to mastering the art of resilience and protecting your peace. Stick around, there's so much more insight to uncover. The journey to strength and serenity has only just begun. Number 8. Isolation as a weapon. Humans are born for cooperation, said Marcus Aurelius, reminding us that strength and resilience come from our connections with others. Yet, for some, this natural inclination toward community is something to be exploited. Isolation is one of the most potent weapons in the arsenal of an evil person. It is a deliberate strategy used to sever you from your sources of strength, friends, family, and support networks, leaving you vulnerable and easier to manipulate. Have you ever felt someone slowly creating distance between you and the people you care about? They might have framed it as concern, saying things like, "Your friend doesn't really understand you," or, "Your family just doesn't appreciate what you do." These words might seem caring at first, but over time, they form a pattern of alienation. What makes this tactic so dangerous is how subtle it can be, making it hard to recognize until the damage has already been done. Isolation as a weapon often begins with small, seemingly harmless comments meant to sow doubt about your relationships. A manipulative partner, for instance, might point out flaws in your closest friends or imply that they don't have your best interests at heart. A controlling colleague could discourage you from seeking advice from others, creating an environment where their opinion becomes the only one you trust. Over time, these subtle remarks build a narrative that causes you to question your connections, making you feel misunderstood, unsupported, and alone. Why do they do this? The answer lies in control. By isolating you, they remove the influences that might help you see their manipulative behavior for what it is, leaving them as your sole source of validation and authority. As Seneca wisely noted, no man is an island entire of itself. The relationships you cherish are not just a source of joy, but also a vital defense against manipulation. In today's world, this tactic has taken on new forms, particularly with the rise of technology and social media. Isolation doesn't always require physical separation. A toxic individual can dominate your time and attention through constant messaging, calls, or demands, ensuring you have little space left for meaningful connections with others. Have you ever found yourself prioritizing someone's needs so much that you begin neglecting your own relationships? Perhaps you've stopped reaching out to friends because you feel drained by the emotional demands of one person. These are signs that someone might be trying to isolate you, even if they frame it as a desire to be close to you. A particularly powerful example comes to mind. A friend once shared how her partner, who seemed loving at first, gradually began to question her friendships. He'd say things like, "I don't think your best friend really supports you," or, "Why do you spend so much time with your family? They don't understand you the way I do." Initially, she dismissed these comments as his way of wanting to spend more time together. But over time, she realized she had stopped seeing her closest friends and family, relying solely on him for emotional support. When she tried to reconnect with others, he would create drama, accusing her of neglecting him. It was only when she stepped back and reflected on her feelings of loneliness and dependency that she recognized his behavior as manipulative. This realization allowed her to rebuild her relationships and regain her independence. If this sounds familiar, ask yourself, am I spending less time with the people who care about me? Do I feel guilty when I try to connect with others outside of this person's influence? These are red flags that should not be ignored. Isolation is not love or concern. It is a calculated move to control your life. Stoicism teaches us the importance of maintaining clarity and balance in our relationships. Number 9. Jealousy in disguise. Envy is the ulcer of the soul, said Seneca, capturing the corrosive nature of jealousy and how it can silently destroy relationships and trust. Jealousy, when disguised, becomes an even more dangerous trait. It doesn't present itself openly, but hides behind seemingly supportive words, false compliments, or advice that subtly chips away at your confidence. Have you ever encountered someone who always has something to say about your achievements? Not to celebrate them, but to make them seem less significant? Perhaps they tell you, "That's great, but don't let it go to your head." Or, "You did well, but someone else did it faster." This isn't constructive criticism or encouragement. It's jealousy cloaked in concern. And if left unchecked, it can seep into your mind, causing self-doubt and undermining your success. How can you recognize this hidden envy? And what should you do when you find it lurking in those close to you? Jealousy in disguise often stems from insecurity and a deep fear of being left behind. The envious person struggles to celebrate your accomplishments because it reminds them of their own perceived inadequacies. To cope, they adopt a subtle approach, framing their jealousy as friendly advice or harmless observation. For example, a colleague might praise your hard work on a project but follow it with a comment like, "But don't expect management to notice. Things like this get overlooked all the time." Or a friend might say, "You're lucky to have succeeded, but honestly, I wouldn't have done it that way." These remarks are carefully crafted to appear thoughtful while planting seeds of doubt in your mind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you allow such disguised envy to linger in your life, it can tarnish your confidence and color your perception of your own worth. This behavior isn't just limited to professional or casual relationships. It can also appear in deeply personal connections. Think about a family member who downplays your success, suggesting that it's merely luck rather than the result of your hard work. Or a partner who becomes distant or critical when you achieve something significant. While they may not openly say they're jealous, their actions reveal their true feelings. They may withhold support, dismiss your excitement, or even try to redirect attention to themselves. For example, they might respond to your big news with, "That's great, but let me tell you about my day," shifting the focus away from your achievements. This type of behavior isn't harmless. It erodes trust and creates emotional distance. Recognizing jealousy in disguise requires paying attention to patterns. Do you notice that certain people always have something to say that diminishes your joy? Do they offer advice or feedback that feels more like a critique than genuine support? And perhaps most importantly, how do you feel after interacting with them, uplifted or drained? Epictetus wisely observed, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By focusing on your reactions, you can begin to understand the impact these individuals have on your life and take steps to protect yourself. Modern life is rife with opportunities for envy to fester, especially in the age of social media, where curated highlights often lead people to compare themselves to others. Have you ever shared a moment of success online, only to receive lukewarm responses or passive-aggressive comments from those you thought would be supportive? The same patterns appear offline, in the workplace, at family gatherings, or even among friends. A jealous person might bring up someone else's achievements immediately after hearing about yours, as if to suggest that your success is nothing special. They may downplay your hard work, implying that you were simply in the right place at the right time. These subtle actions are designed to undermine your confidence and keep you second-guessing your worth. The Stoics teach us that our strength lies in self-awareness and the ability to maintain our focus on what truly matters. When you encounter jealousy disguised as support, the first step is to recognize it for what it is, a reflection of their insecurities, not your shortcomings. By reframing these interactions, you can avoid internalizing their negativity and instead focus on your growth and accomplishments. One example that illustrates this well comes from a friend who excelled at his job and often received praise for his work. Instead of celebrating his success, a coworker consistently downplayed it, saying things like, "You got lucky this time," or "Don't expect this kind of recognition to last." Over time, these comments began to weigh on him, making him doubt his abilities. However, when he stepped back and reflected, he realized that the co-worker's behavior stemmed from envy rather than genuine critique. Armed with this understanding, he learned to focus on his achievements and stopped seeking validation from someone incapable of offering it. This shift allowed him to thrive without being held back by another's jealousy. If you find yourself in a similar situation, the key is to set boundaries and protect your peace. You don't need to confront the person or demand explanations for their behavior, as this often leads to defensiveness or further manipulation. Instead, limit your emotional investment in their opinions and surround yourself with people who genuinely celebrate your success. Seneca wisely advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Seek out relationships that uplift and inspire you, rather than those that drain your energy with hidden envy. Jealousy in disguise is one of the most toxic traits an individual can exhibit, as it hides behind a veneer of care and support while working to undermine your confidence. By recognizing this behavior, you can protect yourself from its damaging effects and maintain your focus on what truly matters: your growth, happiness, and accomplishments. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Choose to surround yourself with people who nurture your positivity and self-worth, and let go of those who seek to bring you down. Life is too short to allow disguised jealousy to rob you of the joy you've worked so hard to achieve. Trust in your abilities, cherish your success, and continue to thrive no matter who tries to dim your light. Number 10. The unrepentant heart. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This powerful wisdom from Marcus Aurelius serves as a reminder of the virtue of accountability and growth, two traits completely absent in those with an unrepentant heart. One of the most telling signs of an evil person is their refusal to acknowledge their wrongdoings, take responsibility for their actions, or even attempt to make amends. These individuals possess an unyielding stubbornness, a deep-seated resistance to growth, and a disturbing comfort in their destructive patterns. Have you ever dealt with someone who could never admit fault, no matter how clear their error? Someone who, when confronted with the harm they caused, shifted blame, deflected responsibility, or even doubled down on their behavior. This lack of repentance isn't just frustrating, it's toxic. But what drives this unrepentant nature, and how can you protect yourself from its damaging effects? At the core of an unrepentant heart lies a fragile ego that refuses to face its flaws. For these individuals, admitting wrongdoing feels like a loss of control or power. Instead of embracing humility, they choose to justify their actions, no matter how harmful, with elaborate excuses or outright denial. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the Quercium." However, for someone with an unrepentant heart, obstacles aren't opportunities for growth. They are inconveniences to be avoided or blamed on others. Whether in personal relationships, workplaces, or social circles, their refusal to acknowledge fault creates a cycle of harm, where mistakes are repeated and trust erodes. What makes this behavior so damaging is that it undermines accountability, making meaningful change impossible. Consider how this might play out in modern life. Perhaps you've worked with a colleague who constantly missed deadlines but always had someone else to blame, a coworker, a system, or even bad luck. Or maybe you've been in a relationship where your partner consistently hurt you but refused to apologize, claiming instead that you were too sensitive or that they were misunderstood. These behaviors not only frustrate, but also create a toxic environment where you feel unheard, invalidated, and responsible for problems you didn't create. This refusal to take ownership isn't just a character flaw, it's a choice to avoid self-reflection, and as Epictetus reminds us, only the educated are free. True freedom comes from acknowledging our mistakes and learning from them. something the unrepentant heart will never allow. The refusal to repent often comes with an array of manipulative tactics designed to deflect accountability. These individuals are experts at gaslighting, making you question your reality or your perception of events. They may downplay the harm they caused, accuse you of overreacting, or shift focus to your supposed flaws to divert attention from their own behavior. For example, someone might respond to a confrontation by saying, "Well, you've made mistakes too," or "I'm not perfect, but at least I'm not as bad as others." These tactics are not meant to resolve the issue but to avoid accountability and maintain control over the narrative. Stoicism teaches us to prioritize truth and integrity above all else. Seneca observed, "No man can have a peaceful life who thinks too much about lengthening it." Similarly, no relationship or environment can thrive where the pursuit of truth and accountability is absent. Thank you for joining us today on Stoic in Your Life. We've explored 10 evident signs that there might be an evil person in your life, a chilling but empowering realization. Remember, awareness is your greatest defense. As Marcus Aurelius taught, true strength lies in mastering your mind and reactions. By recognizing toxic behaviors and setting firm boundaries, you protect your peace and ensure that your light continues to shine brightly. If you found this video valuable, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos filled with timeless wisdom to help you navigate life with clarity and resilience. Thank you for watching, and as always, let your wisdom grow and guide you to a life of strength and serenity. See you in the next video.